once again, my friends, and welcome back to the City of Phear. I'm your host, Brennan Jordan, and it is finally September. Hopefully that means we'll be done with the heat waves and we'll soon drift cozily into spooky season. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for backyard fires, pumpkin coffee, pumpkin beer, pumpkin everything. Said it before, say it again. I'm a basic Brennan. Enough about me, though. It's not what you came here for. You came for another story about life in this haunted city. I've got one for you. Really quick before we get started, I want to mention that there are some trigger warnings in the show notes as there are some sensitive topics in today's story, so make sure you check them out before you dive in. If you're a fan of live music, especially seeing great touring bands when they sneak in a small show here or there, you might be interested in this one. It gives one more reason to trust the saying, never meet your heroes. Well, I had to learn the hard way in this one, thus I present to you The Shadow of a Star. Today started out like any other normal day. Woke up groggy and stumbling through the house. Went through my usual morning routine of shower, shave the stubble on my neck, get dressed, put on a pot of coffee, feed the cat, and get ready for work. It's generally what I call zombie mode, as my head is either still in the clouds or still half focused on remembering or trying to forget the various dreams and nightmares from the night before. I don't even fully come to and just about to my bus stop on the way to work, which is a good 5 blocks or so from my house. The bus stop, I mean. I have my headphones on, sometimes listening to music, and sometimes listening to a horror podcast I'll probably have to replay later since I'm only half paying attention that early. The day wasn't starting off great as I saw my bus pull away right as I was about a half a block away from the stop. Stop trying to time it exactly. Seems like every time I show up a couple minutes early, the bus is 10 minutes late. Every time I'm right on time, the bus shows up 45 seconds early, passes me by. It's a no-win situation, but since it's about 22 minutes until the next bus, best to always show up a little early. So remember that for next time. Cut a few minutes off of my time at least anyway. Seemed like this was starting off to be a bad day until I got an alert on my phone. The Raging Panda presents Dustin Gray Solo Tour. 10 tickets now available for previously sold out show this weekend. Oh snap! I went from half asleep and missing the bus zombie mode to a giddy and dancing kid frantically following the link, putting in my info while I simultaneously reached for my wallet trying to get my bank card out. I needed to get these tickets right away as I was sure that they were going to sell out in minutes. The whole show sold out a day and a half after they went on sale 2 months ago. Idiot me, the forever procrastinator, figured I'd have all the time in the world to get them. I didn't even bother calling or texting my friends who I knew would want to go because I didn't think I had the time. I put in for 3 tickets, for my buddies Connor and Hyder, and for myself. They were available, and I got them. I got the email confirming the purchase and did a little happy dance at the bus stop, not caring if passersby, well, what they might have thought of me if I was some type of nut job for being so happy so early on a Thursday. You see, Dustin Gray was the lead singer for Neon Sloth Bomb, an energetic post-hardcore band that gained moderate fame and success around the time I was in high school. They were one of the bands I'd been obsessed with in college and went to more than a few shows with my old college buddies who I got the tickets for. Not to mention how often we played their music for the first few years after college when they moved to the city with me when I came here for grad school. Since then, Dustin, the lead singer, still toured with his band occasionally, but it was mixed up with tours for side projects and then for this, his solo project. His solo project was a little more mellow and mostly more on the indie side. It was widely known that he had a lot of issues with addiction and mental health issues and taken a couple years off to get himself together the best he could. He'd occasionally make social media posts showing him playing with his young children, playing acoustic covers of the band's songs, or talking about whatever recent projects he'd been working on. He grew up in the suburbs of the city of Phear, so usually always did something special in the city, either beginning or ending whatever tour he was doing for whatever project. This time he decided to kick off his tour for his second CD for his solo project with this show. It was pretty much a secret show for the most part, while his band and even his side projects usually played medium to larger sized venues in the city. The Raging Panda was a smallish bar in my neighborhood. One of those small to medium-sized bars that functions as either a small venue or a spot for DJ dance parties on the weekends. The place generally doesn't hold more than 100 people or so, and if there are that many, it's absolutely packed. The show wasn't widely publicized, but it's no wonder given his fan base and the limited amount of tickets that it sold out so fast. After texting back and forth with my friends and sharing in the excitement, my bus finally came. Alright, I just have to get through 2 more work days and make it to the weekend. The show was an early one, Saturday, 4:30 in the afternoon. I thought that was a bit odd, but it didn't really matter much in the long run. I made it through the next couple of days fairly easily. I was a little disappointed I didn't see my bus crush, but we were probably on different schedules for the last few days, as I only saw her on the 15 once or twice a week, give or take. I was a little upset that Connor and Hyder weren't around to hang out the Friday night before the show. They each had things to do with their girlfriends, which was understandable. We were like the 3 musketeers for a while through college. We lived together in the city for 3 years and change before we parted ways. Them to live with their girlfriends, and me finally make a little more money after getting a little more established in my career as a therapist to live on my own. Oh well, we still have the show, and it'll be a great time to get some good boy time with a great show that, brought us back to our college days. I got to the bar a little early as I wanted to make sure I showed up before them since I was the one with all of our tickets. It was a nice fall day, so I sat outside smoking and looking around, trying to catch a glimpse of Dustin loading in or hanging somewhere outside. I love seeing bands I like at small spots like this because there usually isn't much of a green room or backstage. Performers are usually just hanging out in the general vicinity. I saw what looked like a touring band down the side street, but couldn't tell if it was his or one of the openers. My buddies showed up. We hugged, exchanged greetings and insults, finished our cigarettes, and headed in to get some drinks before the show started. The place was already pretty packed by the time we got in. The way the bar was set up was that the front area was typical bar, wider than most in the neighborhood, with the bar on the left side, booths around the perimeter, a couple of tables set up in the middle. Toward the back is where there was the showroom, with the smallish dance floor and stage standing only about 1.5 feet off the ground. The opener was just about getting started. He was a solo acoustic guy doing some indie jams. He sounded pretty good, but the showroom area was already pretty packed. We hadn't listened to the guy's stuff beforehand and mostly just wanted to catch up before Dustin Gray came on out. We sat back in the bar area, catching up about our recent shenanigans while also reminiscing about crazy experiences both in college and during our time living together in that shithole bachelor pad of a house the 3 of us lived in together. I always knew how much I loved these 2 guys. They're brothers to me. I didn't realize how much I had missed them until now. Just a little while after the opener had stopped and we're loading off of the stage, we got another round of drinks and started worming our way into the crowd as others were stepping out to go smoke or to go to the bathroom. We weren't able to get right to the front because it was pretty packed, but again, this was a tiny place, so where we settled, we were probably still only about a good 20 feet or so from the stage. Even though it was a solo tour, that meant it was for Dustin's solo album/project away from his main band. He had a full band backing him up though. Excitement grew as they loaded their equipment on and started sound checking. It always seems like the sound checking takes forever when you're full of anticipation. Finally, the lights started flashing and Dustin walked out onto the stage to a roar of applause. I was jumping up and down with manic energy, smiling ear to ear. It wasn't just about the music and the show, it was about getting to feel like I was transported back to my younger self, some of the happiest days of my life. The show began and damn it, did that guy have an amazing stage presence and great energy. He played songs from his solo album, along with a few from Neon Sloth Bomb, even a few from the first band he was in before them. Connor, Hyder, and I sang along, danced, and reveled in just such an amazing show. This is what I really needed to just let go of all the stress that had been building up. It was a really good set. It was a really good reset for me. Like every time I go to an awesome show like this, it was over way too quick. Now, he did a bunch of encore songs and didn't disappoint at all. I just wish it all could have lasted just a little bit longer. I think one of the oddest things about the end of the show is that after Dustin went off stage, the room cleared out really quickly. Like everyone was trying to get out of there as quick as they could. Usually at bar venues like this, there's always a good amount of people sticking around to drink more, buy merch, or, just shoot the shit, whatever. I said to my buds, "Hey, I'm gonna step outside, smoke real quick. I'll be right back. Hold on to my drink." I do step outside, and there are a few people smoking, but like I said, most people are just pouring out and going down the street away from the bar, going on their way. The sun's starting to set. It feels strange to go to an early show like this, have it end, and not be dark outside already. Smoke quickly, my ears ringing a bit. Finish up, head back in. The place is basically empty. Hyder and Connor are over at the merch table buying a few things. Meet up with them, grab my drink from Connor, and we go sit over at the bar. We get into, our usual banter, joking around like 13-year-olds, even though we're in our mid-20s, catching up and telling stories about either college or craziness we all got into in our 3 years living together in the city. Picking up right where we were on before the show started. Before we've even finished our drinks, I look around and notice that there's nobody else in the bar except us, the bartenders, DJ setting up for the dance party tonight, and Dustin Gray, along with a couple of people it looks like are either his family or close friends. I'm starting to feel a little buzzed up, so I decided to go over and try to spark up a conversation. "Hey man, that was an amazing show. I didn't think I was going to be able to get tickets, but I'm so happy I did." He smiled at me and said, "Oh man, thank you so much. I'm so glad you liked it." He seemed legitimately thrilled at the compliment. I've met so many of my favorite artists, and it's usually pretty obvious they're just on autopilot when they get compliments from fans. My buds came over and they gave their thanks for the incredible show. We got talking to him about the tour, asked him about why he decided on this spot for this little secret show and a bunch of other nonsense. At a certain point, Connor and Hyder had stepped away and I kept talking to Dustin. I let drop that I was a therapist. I have a bad habit of doing that from time to time. It's a tough job, we get paid shit and it's usually thankless, but still holds some type of social clout. I try not to do that, but I'm proud of what I do and it makes me seem like more than just the weirdo, rando barfly that I might seem like just walking up to this guy. He immediately lit up when he heard it and started asking me all types of questions about the type of work I do. I usually don't get starstruck anymore, but I was feeling a little giddy that Dustin Gray was actually interested in me and the type of stuff that I do. At some point, I had asked him how he'd been doing lately, given that he was pretty public with his issues with mental health and addiction. I'm doing alright right now, for now. It's hard, but I'm doing what I can. My biggest concern, apart from all of it, is the kids. It's so hard to be a parent, man. How can I just, not fuck up my kids, Thought for a few seconds, hoping to give something insightful and something back. Listen, I don't have any kids, but I've worked with tons of parents and tons of kids. Hardest part about being a parent is that no matter what you say or how you try to raise your kids, most important thing is what you do. What I mean by that is that your kids are always going to look at you as a role model. What's good enough for mom and dad is good enough for me. You can't tell them to do or be one way, then show them something else. You get what I mean? I was hoping he was picking up what I was putting down, especially in regards to the drug problems and whatnot I knew he had been struggling with. He nodded and had a look on his face that looked like the wheels in his head were spinning, and was really taking it all in, taking it seriously. We talked a little bit more. He actually gave me his number, which shocked the shit out of me. Never had that happen before when I met one of my heroes. After a short time, Hyder came over and pulled me away, whispering in my ear, "Leave him alone, you weirdo. You're being too much of a fanboy." I went with him. I knew he was definitely right. It's much better at not being socially awkward as me and reading the room, especially in situations like this. I went back to my normal, hanging with the boys until we collectively realized the dance music was starting to blare, the lights flashing, a bunch of crazy videos being projected on the screen behind the stage. The DJ was just running through some stuff, preparing for the dance party that was going to happen in a couple of hours. We went out to the dance floor and started acting a fool. Alright, we were probably feeling the drinks a good amount at this point, and it wasn't long before we jumped on the stage and started dancing up there. Connor, weird amazing ass that he is, starts making shadow puppets on the screen, which comes out perfectly with the single projector coming from the DJ booth. Hyder and I join in. We're laughing our asses off and giggling like little kids while we start having shadow puppet wars, having our shadow monsters eat each other, and just have that going back and forth. Came as a little bit of a shock, but we heard a small boom behind us. We realized someone had jumped up on the stage. It was Dustin Gray. Holy shit, he just started dancing like a maniac with us, similar to the way that he goes off on stage. This was an experience for the ages. I almost couldn't tell if I was just imagining it or if this was actually real life. He was there though. At some point, he locked his hands together, thumbs intertwined to make the shadow of a flapping bird. Eagle, falcon, what have you, whatever it was majestic. Started feeling a little funny. Now granted, it was more than a few beers deep, there was some strobe light stuff going on, but it looked like the shadows were pulsing and moving in a way that didn't quite look like they should. Similar to if I had taken some shrooms or acid or something, but I only had a bunch of beers today, nothing else. I kept trying to battle Connor, Hyder, and Dustin's shadow with my own little shadow T-Rex, but I started feeling weaker. And a little bit sick. Jesus, I didn't drink that much. I started swaying back and forth a bit. Good thing it could have looked like a bit of sloppy dancing rather than me about to fall over. But I really wasn't feeling good at this point. For a few seconds, I swear to God, I saw the bird shadow Dustin was creating separate from the shadow of his hands, fly over to my shadow T-Rex, obliterate it, rear up like a dragon and fly into my arms. Blinked my eyes a few times. Saw the shadow projected onto the screen of Dustin's body moving away. He was stepping off of the stage and going back to the section of the bar he had been at. I stepped off the stage and went to the bathroom. I felt like I needed to puke. Took a leak in the stall and coughed a bunch. Gagged a little, but nothing came out. Alright, I didn't think I drank that much, but it's probably time to go home anyway. No sticking around for the dance party for me. When I got out of the bathroom, I saw that the bar was empty. No more Dustin, none of his friends, just my guys, Hyder and Connor, standing around a table. Connor yelled out to me, "Hey bud, just about ready to get out of here. Great show. Let's hang out sometime soon." Tried to convince them to come out drinking and go to some bars with me, but they had things to do with their significant others. I was happy we just had this time, but couldn't hurt to try for more, you know? I stumbled my way home, sun just about completely down over the horizon. Finally made it, settled in, cracked another beer, sat out on my front step, lit a smoke, and started going through a few of the photos and short videos I had taken from the night. The urge to text Dustin again, thanking him for the great show, but that probably would have come off either a little too fanboyish or maybe a little too drunk. Wow, though. Such a great show. So, after one hell of a day, I decided to turn in for an early night. I went to sleep with a smile on my face for the first time in a good long while. I woke up in the early morning hours. That many beers and having a grandpa bladder since I was a kid kind of made it an inevitability. Blurry-eyed, I checked my phone. Read 2:33 a.m. I threw my glasses on I had on the table beside the bed and went into the bathroom. Did what I had to do. Realized I was dehydrated and thirsty as hell. I bent my head down to drink out of the sink. A few good gulps and I'd be good to go. Took my glasses off as I let the water run in my hands and run it over my face. Put my glasses back on, palms on the bathroom counter, looked into the mirror. All of a sudden, I saw a large, black, shadowy figure hovering behind me. In the split second I saw it, it looked like an adult man standing almost 7 feet tall with wings coming out of his back in multiple pieces, like the finger shadow puppet wings Dustin had made. I turned around quickly and out of reflex reaction threw a punch, landing straight into the wall, hitting a stud. Ah! Oh God! Ah! Damn, that hurt. Looked all around the bathroom and saw nothing else out of normal. No man, no shadow, nothing. I wasn't sure if I was happy I hit part of the wall with the stud so I didn't go right through the drywall, or pissed because I might have just busted my hand. I shook my hand a bunch and ran it under the cold water. Breathing heavy and dealing with going from half asleep to wide awake and in terror mode, I heard a whispering in my right ear.
I'm with you now.
Then a sinister laughing. Well, that's pretty disturbing to say the least. I have some crazy nightmares on the regular. I was pretty sure this was probably just one of them. Go back to my bed, go back to sleep, only to probably go into another nightmare. Go back to bed is what I did. It was a bit difficult as I kept hearing the sound of inaudible whispers going through my already still ringing ears from the show. Woke up like usual the next morning. It was a Sunday, so I didn't have any real obligations. I was going to meet up with a few friends for the football game later, but a later afternoon one, so I had my time to get my life together. It took a while to get going, get a shower, get dressed, the usual stuff. My hand was throbbing and knuckles a little swollen from hitting the wall. I iced it some after getting out of the shower and decided this was just going to be a lazy Sunday for me. Probably just going to stay in. I was still feeling pretty happy after going to such an amazing show. I texted my friends some of the pictures I had taken, then sent them to Dustin with a text message saying, "Hey man, great show last night. Thanks for taking the time to hang out afterwards. I really had a blast. Hit me up next time you're in the city if you want to hang." I felt a little uneasy sending them, thinking to myself, I don't know. Maybe he was just being nice and this was one of those times I should have known better. Again, not always recognizing the appropriate things to do. I waited half a minute hoping I might get a response, but nothing. Suddenly heard a whisper. It sounded like it was coming from behind me.
You pathetic loser. Of course he doesn't want to talk to you. He's a friggin' star. What are you? Just a sad loser who lives alone and never amount to anything.
Jerked around quickly, but it would have been impossible for someone to be behind me as the couch I was sitting on was back right up against the wall. I didn't see anything. I did remember the shadowy thing from last night and the whispers while trying to fall asleep. I saw my own light shadow projected against the wall. For a split second, it looked like it pulsed just a little bit, but I figured my eyes were probably just playing tricks on me. The rest of the day was pretty uneventful. I decided not to go to my friends for the game as I was feeling a bit tired. Sundays usually are pretty boring, and after an eventful weekend, I spent most of the time in the house just doing laundry, cleaning up a bit, and preparing for the week. About halfway through the day, the ringing in my ears had just about started to die down. I really need to start wearing earplugs at those things if I'm going to be so close to the speakers. The ringing in my ears had subsided, but that just led to the whispers I was hearing at night sounding even louder. I still couldn't really make out what they were saying most of the time. I was getting a little freaked out thinking that I could be experiencing the onset of a psychotic disorder. Being in the field and having a good amount of experience working with folks with schizophrenia, I knew a few things about it that made it not very likely for me. Granted, I already had my fair share of issues with depression and ADHD related stuff. Never experienced hallucinations, delusions in the past, didn't have any family history of it, and I was a little old for the usual onset. I decided to try to not overthink it, attribute it to stress that I might not have realized was getting to me, drowned out the whispers by starting to make a regular habit of falling asleep with the TV on in my room. That seemed to do the trick for the rest of the week at least, till that next Thursday night. Last thing I remembered was drifting off to sleep in my bed watching reruns of some old cartoons when suddenly, I blinked my eyes a few times, found myself standing in my bathroom in my boxers, in front of my big bathroom mirror, with the chef knife from my kitchen in my hand. The knife lightly pressed on the side of my neck, the point just barely breaking the skin, just a small trickle of blood coming down. As soon as I realized what I was doing and felt the sting from where the knife broke the skin, I threw it on the ground and started looking all around. What the hell was going on? Was this some sort of crazy nightmare? I ran the water in the sink, filled my hands with the water and rubbed them on my eyes, then on my neck. The light bulbs above the mirror cast my shadow on the back wall. I saw it quickly morph into a large swirling mass with hideous wings and what sort of looked like the head of some type of hawk. I turned around, and when I did, my shadow looked normal. I turned back to the mirror. I saw the thing again.
You thought you could drown me out, eh? I'm with you now. But I don't want to be. Nobody wants to be with you. You were so close. You should just kill yourself and do the whole world a favor.
Oh God, what the fuck are you?
You'll never understand. Just know that I won't rest until you end your worthless life. And if you don't, just wait and see what's going to happen.
The shadowy figure that was my shadow, at least while looking at it in the mirror, looked like it went up in a poof of smoke, and after a few seconds, I just saw my actual shadow. I turned around and nothing looked out of the ordinary. Wide-eyed and frantic, I ran down my stairs, turned on all the lights in my house, checked the locks on the front and back doors. Everything was in order. I paced back and forth. I saw the time on the clock in my living room, reading a little after 3 in the morning. There's just too much to unpack here. My adrenaline was off the charts. I kept just pacing back and forth in my house. I walked into my kitchen and saw that the drawer I keep my knives in was open. So I would have had to get up out of bed, walk down the stairs without falling or tripping over my own feet, grab the knife, walk back upstairs to the bathroom to end up where I did. I didn't have any history of sleepwalking, barring a few nights where I had way too much to drink in college, but again, I didn't drink anything last night. I realized that after getting a better look at the shadowy thing, which must have been the source of the whispers, what I was hearing, that it really resembled what I saw, or thought I saw at the Dustin Gray show. It was late, and I probably shouldn't have, but I scrolled to his number in my phone and I tried calling him. Immediately went to voicemail though. It didn't have a personalized voicemail, just one of those generic ones, you've reached the voicemail box for ... Then the number. Hell, for all I knew, this wasn't even his actual number, but I left a message anyway. Hey man, this is Brennan, the guy you talked to at the Raging Panda show. This is gonna sound really strange, but a bunch of weird shit has been happening since that show, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd get back to me as soon as you can. I hung up. Kept walking back and forth a bit. At this point, I felt like I was going out of my mind. I made myself a cup of green tea. I wanted the warm tea to help calm me down a bit, but also wanted some caffeine. I was in a strange mix of tired and wired, and was a little too frightened to go back to sleep. I mean, what if I didn't come to when I did? My alarm on my phone woke me up the next morning as I'd fallen asleep on my couch. I barely heard it as the TV was still on. I thought for a second it could have all been a dream, but that theory was quickly refuted when I went up to use the bathroom and saw the knife on the floor where I had dropped it. I looked at my phone and saw that I did have an outgoing call to Dustin Gray, or at least the number I saved under his name at 3:49 in the morning. I was groggy, but also frantic. I called out of work for the day. I put on a pot of coffee. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do about all this. Eventually the caffeine wore off, and I crashed. Slept for a few hours on the couch, which were good, but made it all the harder to get to sleep at night. I couldn't really. A few glasses of scotch and trying to zone out while watching TV helped. I didn't hear the whispers. I didn't hear back from Dustin. I didn't really expect to after leaving him such a psycho-sounding voicemail so late at night. Probably never got a response from him after that. I went to work the next day. I was able to put most of the stuff out of my mind while working with clients, but anytime in between or after, I was just ruminating over all of it. I seemed to get a few days of respite. No whispers, no sightings, nothing too major. I still wasn't sleeping very well. I started self-medicating a good amount to get to sleep. Later in the week, though, it came back. I was on the bus on my way into work. I'd been so out of my mind recently, I hadn't even thought about the girl that occasionally gets on a few stops after mine, the one I referred to as my bus crush. Today the bus wasn't as crowded as usual. She usually takes one of the few available seats. There were a lot available. She made brief eye contact with me, then sat right next to me. I would have loved to say something, spark up a conversation, but I'm going to work. I assume she's going to work. It's not really the time and place. Then I heard the familiar voice.
You think she's into you? She doesn't look like the type that goes for losers. You don't even have the guts to plunge that knife in. You don't have a courageous pull in your body. Hey, it's alright. I'll coach you. Smack her ass. Tell her all the nasty things you want to do.
I jumped up in my seat a bit, very much out loud, shouted, "Oh my God, no!" The girl looked at me startled. I turned to her. "Wow, I'm sorry. I was, just talking to myself for a second there." I felt my cheeks flush a bit. I got up and got off at the next stop, even though it wasn't mine. The whispers started up more regularly at night again, this time more audible, always berating me for something, until I drank them away. I texted Dustin a few more times, getting more and more desperate with each message. When I saw videos or pictures of him from the tour, he almost looked like a different person. He looked 10 years younger. The bags in his eyes were gone. His smile looked genuine rather than manic. Meanwhile, I was starting to look like shit. I felt embarrassed by the bus incident, secretly hope I wouldn't see my bus crush again. But unfortunately for the both of us, that wouldn't be the case. The next week on the same day, right as the bus was going along its route, while I was half awake and not paying attention, I was jolted forward and jolted awake. The bus hit something. I heard the driver start yelling, "Oh no, 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 shit, no. I didn't see her. Where the hell did she come from?" People on the bus were getting up and rushing to the front to look. The bus driver had opened the door by him and went out. I saw him on his cell phone calling emergency. Everyone got off the bus and stood off away. It was the girl, my bus crush, that he hit. She must have stepped off the sidewalk or tripped or something. I don't know. While in the crowd, I heard the familiar voice again.
You see? This is what happens when you try to ignore me. When you don't fucking kill yourself. I'm going to slowly make you watch while I take away everyone you love. See, you barely even knew that girl. See, I'm just getting started.
Even from where I was standing, I could tell the accident was fatal. She wasn't breathing. It looked like there was blood coming out from her ears. I called out again that day. I spent the entire day at home figuring out how I was going to... I don't know what I'm going to do. Next half a year was rough. It didn't get better. Aside from work, I mostly stayed to myself. Had a few close calls waking up in the middle of the night. The cat I had ran away. For a little while, I started dating someone who I thought was in recovery, but she ended up relapsing and overdosing on heroin. I limited my time with the people I cared most about because I didn't want them to be affected by this thing. In turn, they became more distant from me. Those few close calls, though. Waking up at night in the process of a suicide attempt, only to stop myself at the very last minute. I was going batshit insane. Every time I looked at myself in the mirror, I hardly recognized the broken man staring back at me. I don't know how I made it through work. I don't know how all the people I helped didn't fall to the same or similar fate to the bus girl. Well, it did tell me at one point.
Everyone gets one passion that I don't get to touch. Dustin had his music. You have your therapy. Be lucky that there's that rule. Enjoy it while you can. I'm gonna make the rest of your life living hell.
I stopped by the liquor store to make sure I had enough of a supply to help me get some sleep for the next few days. Right as I was about to drift off for the night, I finally received a text message from Dustin Gray, this being about 6 months after that show. All it said was, "It's real, it's ancient, and it's evil, and I am so sorry." Well, there's another one in the books from the city of Phear. Thing is, whether Dustin's demon is real or not, there are plenty of demons folks battle with every day that go by the names of depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and so many others. Every single person has people they care about in their lives that are suffering in silence. So, hey, check in on your people. If you're one of those folks currently suffering, my heart goes out to you, and reach out to your people. May not always feel like it, but they want to hear from you, they want to see you, and you'll feel at least a tad bit better when you do. I'm glad fall is approaching. I'm getting back into the rhythm with these stories. That said, trying to crank out episodes every other week or so, I'm feeling a little bit rushed. For anyone listening who also writes and would like their story considered to be showcased on the podcast, please send submissions to the email in the show notes. Ideally, I'm looking for anything around 4,000 to 6,000 words with as little reliance on multiple character dialogue and sound effects as possible. On top of that, if you enjoyed this episode, please give a rating, like, subscribe, or whatever's applicable for the platform you're listening on. While you're at it, subscribe to the City of Fear Facebook and Instagram page for updates. And most recently, either pictures of me feeding wild deer or getting top pinball scores. Lastly, thanks for tuning in. I love and appreciate you. You matter and are an important piece to this crazy universe with some purpose, even if you haven't quite figured out what that is yet. Hope to see you back in the city soon.